Sanje Joda Soge Jonamna, Chanjo Bando Dane Gyasu Chen, Dage Jin So Gebe, Tola Benjo Sanje Dubale Jo, Sanje Joda Soge Jonamna, Chanjo Bando Dane Gyasu, Dage Jin So Gebe, Sonam Ge, Tola Benjo Sanje Dubale Jo, Sanje Joda Soge Jonamna, Chanjo Bhagavad Jinso Gebe Sonam Je Dola Benjir Sanje Dubare Sho. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Deyata Om Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswatyata Om Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswatyata Om Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgade Bodhiswaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the great seer. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswaha. Okay, a continuation from where we left the last session. It's the equalizing and exchanging self-others. This is one part. The next part is we move to next, that is exchanging self-others. For that matter, the point number 2 and 3, reflecting on the demerits of cherishing oneself, reflecting on the merits of cherishing others. Okay. So here, what we need to think of is the inner life. Okay, try. Good. La battery. Okay, good. Say that we relating this to our life. There are things which we seek, there are things which we shun, and the good things that we seek, they are all the results of the virtues or related to cherishing others, and those which we shun, they are the results of the selfishness, self-centered attitude, and that in our life we have come across many experiences, some very difficult experiences, and some of which we can see the cause effect. Causally speaking, we find it very difficult to identify that this is related to self-centered attitude. Yes, they are, but they are unseen, related to our past lives, and the most cases related to past lives. But those related to this life, we see that it's very easy that when the self-centered attitude is there, you see anything wrong, you can have an easy conflict with other people. Okay, how many agree with me that with the self-centered attitude, you easily the conflict with other people? Easily, for no reasons. For no reasons, these things happen. You have conflict, and then your happiness is destroyed. I remember, I think about like 7 or 8 years ago, there was a news. It I think happened in Delhi, that there was a young the boy who was riding the motorcycle, and he kept his motorcycle somewhere, and the bus just had hit it, very small, and might have created some scratch on the motorcycle. And this the owner of the motorcycle, the boy, was extremely angry, and then he dragged down the bus driver, and he hit him so hard, and finally the bus driver died. Just that his motorcycle was hit by the bus. That was the simple reason. And then, of course, the boy had to be in prison, and unfortunately, it so happened that the boy's mother was also with the boy, and the mother was also becoming very angry and telling the boy to hit more, and the mother was also in the prison. So if you think very carefully, that yes, these things can happen. These things happen, yet even if you are driving, let's say, the very good cars, like what cars do we have? BMW, Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, even these can be hit by other cars. It's very possible. And then this very small motorcycle was hit, and then he became very angry. And when in the rage of anger, you don't see the reality beyond. He became so angry, and then this happened. So just imagine that if this boy, before this incident happened, if the boy is given a choice that, okay, your motorcycle is going to be hit by somebody, and you have two choices. This person may give you, say, 4,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees to fix your motorbike. And the other option is you kill the driver and you'll end up in prison. What will you do? For sure, the boy will choose the first one. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to take my mother to prison. So I will just take the 10,000 rupees, fix it, and go, because these things can happen to anybody. But that was when the boy is not in anger. In anger, simply the sense of the wise decision all disappeared, and made the wrong decision and I'm in prison. So just imagine that. Why? Because my motorcycle was hit. They made bad shape, leaving bad shape. So with this, what is at the most like 10,000 Indian rupees, and you save years, you're going to lose like almost a few lakhs of rupees in these years. You cannot work. You're going to lose all this money, and with this money you can buy very good limousine car. So all this wisdom disappears when you're in the grip of the anger. So the point is that this is all because of the self-centered attitude. So your small, the motorcycle, and somebody else's life. If you compare the two, your motorcycle. Why this is so important? Because of this is mine, and this person also has a sense of mine. This person also has children, also has the wife, the family, parents, grandparents to feed. What about those people? So all these things simply he cannot think of because of the self-centered attitude. And finally, what's the result? He ended up in prison. Is this what you want? So the self-centered attitude, this is extremely strange. When we don't think about this, the self-centered attitude gives us like a feeling of the protection, sense of courage and protection, that I'm there to safeguard you. But in actuality, self-centered attitude is the one which brings destruction to us. Okay, this is something which we have to remember. And for example, inner life, if you look at, say, for example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ, and the Buddha, all these great enlightened beings, when you think of these beings, we see that they are so great. We want, people to give us attention. We want people to love us. And these people, these beings, they are really loved by everybody. And what made all these people love like His Holiness, Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ, and so forth? Why? It's all because of their compassion, because of the selfless service for others. So this is, we have to really need to think about these things. And in a way, sometimes we need a little bit of, intelligence thinking. But otherwise, these are not really complicated, not difficult. They are easy. So because of that, the only thing is that we think more about this, then we feel, in simple terms, we feel angry towards the self-centered attitude. When you think about the other cherishing mind, you just feel that it's so precious. And you'll embrace it, and self-centered attitude, you feel very angry towards this attitude, my own selfish thinking. So if you go towards this direction, towards the selfish thinking as something wrong, and other cherishing as beautiful, you succeed in your practice. This is what we need to keep in mind. So with this, several years ago, again, there was one young man who I know so well, and he gave me a phone call, and he said that, Geshe, I feel so unhappy, or I feel so low now. And I said, what happened? And he said that he was with his parents, and he has to leave the parents' house to go to study more, and he feels so low and painful. And I said that you are very fortunate. And I said, then I told him that you are very fortunate. And he said, no, I feel so painful. It's so very painful to feel low. And I said, yes, you are very fortunate. And he said, how? So in fact, in the past, the great masters, they leave everything behind, their house and everything behind, and they go to the Himalayas to practice. Practice what? To identify your self-centered attitude. How this self-centered attitude is creating all the pains within us. They go there. And when they realize the pains within them, the feeling low, feeling sad, and then they realize, it is the self-centered attitude, it is acting on me now. So this is how the great masters, they practice. And for you don't have to go to Himalayas. You just stay in Delhi, and then you feel this, the feeling low, feeling painful. You are very fortunate. So there you have to identify that it is self-centered attitude. Look, now this is so experiential. I don't want to feel this pain and it's coming to me. It's all because of the self-centered attitude. So the point is that with this practice, the point is not difficult practice. That if we do to think about this as often as possible, gradually our mind will change its course. Where something wrong happens, you blame the other person. For example, say accidentally I hit this mug and the mug falls and it breaks and it cuts the hand. And whoever is next to me, I blame the person. That's what happens. Yeah. Oh, the person, I didn't touch at all. No, it's because you are there, therefore it falls. So we always look for the blame to go to outside. This is our thinking, but we can change it. We think more about this. Self-centered attitude is the one which really creates pain. And the pain that I go through, for example, say I don't know, what about the France in the winter? The days short and a little dark, cold, wet, all intact. Yeah. So there, what do you feel? The tendency for a mind is to feel low, sad. May not be all, every day, but it does happen. Resents? It does happen. Yes. When you feel that, these painful feelings must necessarily come into being because of two factors at that very moment: self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. I'm not saying that you are very selfish. This is not what I'm saying. So, till we attain Buddhahood, till we reach the 8th Bhumi, Bodhisattva's level 8th Bhumi, we have some degree of self-centered attitude. And if you are very extremely sharp, the sharp faculty Bodhisattva, then by the part of preparation, your, let's say, the manifest self-centered attitude subsides. Otherwise, for the ordinary bodhisattvas, till the 8th Bhumi, even the manifest self-centered attitude does manifest till 8th Bhumi. So the point is that when I say that, the pain is because of the self-centered attitude and self-grasping ignorance, I must be so bad, I'm so selfish. Don't think like this, but identify your drawbacks, and it's not you, it's your self-centered attitude. Always make this distinction. It's not you, it is your self-centered attitude, it is your self-grasping ignorance. For us to feel the pain, any kind of pain, say you lose a near and dear ones, and then you feel the pain. So the moment the pain is felt, self-grasping ignorance is already manifested. Self-centered attitude is already manifested. You feel mental pain, when you feel the mental pain. For the arahats, they don't have mental pain. Bodhisattvas at the path of seeing and above, they have no mental pain, no physical pain. For the bodhisattvas, path of seeing. And for the arahats, they don't have the mental pain, but they do have the physical pain. Let's not forget that. These are the nuances. So the point is that when we have the mental pain, these two should necessarily manifest. What are they? Self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude. And nobody wants a mental pain, particularly the mental pain in the form of feeling low, heaviness, corrosion. It's so painful inside. So when you feel that, we have to think about that, okay, these two are acting on me. And if you don't believe in this, what I'm saying now, then you try to get a glimpse of emptiness. Number one. Number two, try to get some experience of but not bodhicitta, but at least unconditional love towards others. If you get just a glimpse of these two, when you go through these pains, just think of this love for others. Instantly the pain will disappear. Believe it or not. Mental pain, I'm talking mental pain. Likewise, when you have the mental pain, think of emptiness. Even though it may not be full-fledged emptiness, it doesn't matter. So as long as you think of the emptiness and you get a little bit of goosebumps on your body when these things happen, that's good enough. Apply this, and instantly you see that the pain inside will subside. So this is, you don't need you don't believe in me, you don't believe in somebody. Just apply these two, and instantly you see that your pain subsides. Okay. How many of you get this? The feeling of low feeling when in the winter. This sense. Okay. When you do feel, you're very fortunate. You have to apply this. Little bit of bodhicitta, little bit of emptiness, and see how it works. And if it is effective, then you realize, oh, what he said is very true. With every pain, there's self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude intact. So with this, the point is that how the self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance. So here in this context, we're doing the self-centered attitude. How it is extremely vicious to us, extremely bad to us, extremely harmful to us, is that these two in combination, these two are responsible from distance and time, since many lifetimes ago. These two are the one who create the arrow of the karma. They shot the arrow of the karma, and the arrow is flying. Many of the arrows are already in the air, flying, or in the air, yet to hit the target. And anytime it can hit the target and create the pain in you. Anytime, we never know. For example, say early this year, in January, after taking shower, I came out, and then down there, my calf, my feet, and then my calf. On my calf, I saw a patch, a red patch. What is this? I didn't see this before yesterday, and today there's a round patch, quite big. It's not like a small. What is that? Like a pimple? No, it's like a patch, round patch. Oh, what is this? And then I kept it like this, and I thought that, okay, it may be like a skin rash, it'll go in time. No, it is more and more fresh. Okay, so then somebody suggested that I must go to hospital. So this is what I'm saying. It can be anything. You said it is a cancer. We never know. We never know. I'm not saying what some people say, black tongue. It's not that. This is, what can actually happen to us anytime. We never know. So these are the arrows hitting us. Arrows hitting. So who shot the arrow? That arrow was initially shot by the self-grasping ignorance, 12 links of dependent origination. The first link, ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, complemented by the self-centered attitude, hit the arrow, create the karma, and the karma is already in our mind, in the air, millions of karmas. The arrows are shot there. Anytime it can hit us. Okay. When it hits you, say, when it hits us, whether you feel the pain or not, if you feel the pain, again, that is because of self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. If these two things are not there, again, although it hits you, it is like with the armor, with the bulletproof. So a bullet hits you and the bullet falls. That's it, you are not hurt. Whereas with the self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, again, these arrows hit you, immediately the pain is felt because of these two things. So these two are so vicious in our life. Self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. And self-grasping ignorance, it can be fixed only through cognitively realizing emptiness. Self-grasping ignorance can be fixed only through cognitively realizing emptiness. Self-centered attitude, it is not necessary to have a cognitive, say the cognitive realization. We can think of, we try to extend love and affection towards others. Even without realizing emptiness, still, we can mitigate the power of the self-centered attitude, but to cut the self-centered attitude from the root, we need to have the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so with this is so important. Keep this in mind, that when you feel the pain, any kind of pain, and some people, they are extremely competent, during the their life, they pick up their life, and suddenly they can have a stroke, or they can be bedridden for years and years. It happens. We never know who's next. Me, you, we never know. So when these things do happen, or anything else, even just feeling sadness, feeling a little agitated, disturbed. So it's very important to think of how this mental agitation comes because of the contaminated karmas, negative karmas. These karmas were created because of the gross afflictions. Gross afflictions are because of the first initial, they trigger self-grasping ignorance, complemented by self-centered attitude. They shot the arrow of the karma. So now it hits me. It hit me, and I feel the pain. Even to feel the pain, there must be the immediate self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. For example, like the VIP movement. For some presidents and prime ministers, if they had to move from one place to another place, from the starting point, they had the security guards to make sure that his or her movement is good. And then once he lands there, again there's a security guards there. So in our case, it's opposite. Self-grasping, self-centered attitude, they are there to make sure that you accumulate negative karma. And then once they say, once the karma is in the movement, they'll come there again to make sure that you experience the pain. This is how the self-grasping, self-centered is to extremely, extremely vicious. And we have to realize this. We have to experience that. We have to gain conviction that the efficacy of this, that is very true, that is how it works. When we realize this, then over and gradually, when anything happens like this, mental agitation, sadness, so happens, then the blame automatically goes towards the self-centered attitude, not towards the outside, not towards somebody else, not towards the weather or whatever. The blame will go towards the self-centered attitude. Again, look, my self-centered attitude, this is what is acting on me. This is what is creating this pain on me. Look, the self-centered attitude is there. So now, more than the pain, you are so happy to identify the subtle self-centered attitude. You are so happy. It's very strange. This pain, you want to have it continue. You want to have it continued, or you want to stop it. You want to stop it. And how to stop it? How to stop it? Just think of how the again, look, self-centered attitude, this is again the manifested. When you feel that, instantly the pain will subside. This is extremely beautiful practice. When you realize that where the blame automatically goes, it's not like, okay, I learned from the Kalachakra Center that it's because of self-centered attitude. Now self-centered must be acting. If you think like this, the pain will not go away, because it is not a natural process. It is what you are, just cognitively, dragging yourself into this. But over time, because of the practice, when it becomes very natural, that, okay, again the self-centered attitude has come. When you feel it, instantly the pain dissolves. Your mind will feel the lightness. You'll feel the lightness instantly. This very beautiful practice. Okay, if it does happen like this, you are a great practitioner. If you reach to a point whereby the blame goes to the self-centered, not to you. The blame should not go to you. If you say that, oh, I'm the one, I'm the bad person who did this negative karma, then you lose hope in you. You feel yourself so bad, and then you don't feel like doing that practice at all. You see yourself as a hopeless person. So instead, the blame should go to the self-centered attitude, not to the self. And the self is very important. Let's not forget it. Because this self can become Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. This self is so precious. Only the self-centered attitude is one which creates attracts all these pains and put you into problems. Okay. So this is what we need to realize. So, in other words, what I'm saying is that all the pains that we go through, they're the result of the self-centered attitude. And all happiness the world contains are derived through wishing happiness for others. This is what Bodhisattva Shantideva said in the Guide to the Bodhisattva of Life. That you think of this huge ocean. In the ocean, sometimes this is what I think. in the ocean, how many the fish are there? How many creatures are there in the ocean? And all these the creatures, they have to live in fear. Everyone has to live in fear. Do you agree with me? Everyone in the ocean has to live in fear. Say, what about those which are very strong? No, one day they become weak. They become old. Again, will be eaten by somebody else. In the wild, in the forest, in the wilderness, everyone has to live in fear. Everyone. All the creatures have to live in fear, including the tiny insects to the big lions, elephants. They all have to live in fear. So, when are they secured? When they are physically strong, and when they are in group. When they're group, this is relatively more secure. Otherwise, and even then, one day you become old. When you become old, again somebody else will eat you up. Even the lions, they're being eaten up by other small creatures when you become old. Everybody's living in fear. And we never know. We can take birth like this anytime. We never know. We have accumulated so much negative karma in the past lives. So if that happens, it's very scary. So who's to be blamed? Self-centered, the karma, negative karma that we accumulated. And who made you to accumulate negative karma? What is the driving force? Self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. So these two are the factors which made us accumulate all these negative karmas. Then the results we experience so painful. Even as a human being, there's so much of problems. For example, say the Ukraine. All these innocent people, they are struggling. They are really going through such a pain because of the Ukraine situation. Then the neighboring countries, they are not alert now. Anything can happen to them also. So therefore they joined the NATO, right? This is reality. So everybody has to live, and they are also not happy. I know I have friends in Russia, and they themselves are suffering. Their citizens are suffering. Russian citizens are suffering because so much of censorship. Earlier there are so many beautiful programs happening in Russia. Now these programs, they get hold because that they don't do the finance. All the finance they're paying, they're censored by the neighboring countries. They could not do anything. So for example, say Tibet House Nalanda Master's course, Nalanda Diploma course, Nalanda Certificate course. There are many participants from Russia. Now for this, the procedure, there is the transaction of the fees. They cannot send the fees because of all the censorship from the neighboring countries. They cannot do that. So we are making provision by which still the program should happen. The spiritual journey should not be stopped. So everyone is suffering, all because of this self-centered attitude. We should not forget it. So this is how we need to reflect on the merits of cherishing oneself, and also think of in a small family where the father, mother has a big heart, a good understanding, very loving, caring. The whole family is so peaceful. When there's one person who is very selfish, like a son or a daughter who is very selfish, can spoil the whole environment. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Extremely painful, right? And particularly when the parents grow older, right? We can't expect that, you are very young and you are very competent physically, you can do anything, you keep yourself very clean, healthy, and your parents, they cannot really cope up with how they used to. So because of which they may not be as tidy, they may not be as proper how they used to be. And then you think that my mother is like that, my daddy is like that. You feel like this, and then for small reasons you just shout at the mom, dad. Is very sad. This is all out of selfishness, right? And the first thing that we need to learn is how to charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. So the first thing that we learn is at home to make sure that you give love and affection to your mother and a father. This is so important. No matter how much mistakes they make, it doesn't matter. Give love and affection. From there, you start and you see that you'll succeed in your practice gradually. Okay. So the Bodhisattva Shantideva, and then this book, Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life, this is extremely important for us to study. I reflect on this, chapter 8, second half of the chapter 8. Reflecting on the demerits of cherishing oneself, and reflect on the merits of cherishing others. And cherishing others, the Bodhisattva Shantideva put it so beautifully by saying that what more to say? Look at the Buddhas who always cherish others, and look at us who always cherish ourselves, and look at the outcome of these two. So we always cherish ourselves, and we suffer all the time. The Buddha always cherishes others and experiences the highest of the happiness. And in samsara, because of self-centered attitude, we are constantly trapped. Self-centered attitude, self-grasping combined together, we're constantly trapped in samsara. And in samsara, there's no peace at all. There's no peace at all. Okay. So this is what we should reflect on. Reflect on the merits of cherishing oneself, and reflect on the merits of cherishing others. Then step number 4 and 5. Step number 4 and 5 is Tonglen. So oftentimes, I tell people that some people, they very easily tell others that when others go through difficulties, then you have to practice Tonglen. In fact, once when I was in, it doesn't mean, I don't mean to demean others, right? You might have come across, some teachers who might be saying that you go through difficult times, and then teacher may suggest you to do Tonglen, and I don't mean to demean them. Finally, you decide. So what happened was that once I was in Spain. Once I was in Spain, and my friend, his father-in-law is a renowned homeopathic doctor. A renowned medical doctor in homeopathy system, extremely renowned. And during that time I was going through some ill health, and he took me to his father-in-law. And his father-in-law, of course, is a Spanish. My friend, he's a Tibetan. And this father-in-law, the Spanish doctor, he checked my pulse and said that you have so much stress. I said, yes, you're right. And he said, don't have stress. And then I said, okay. Then he said, practice Tonglen. He told me, practice Tonglen, because he's exposed to all these practices, Tonglen and so forth. He learned these things. And behind him there's the Thanga of the medicine Buddha. And my friend, he was so angry. And the doctor's son-in-law, he was so angry. How dare you are teaching Tonglen to the Geshe Damdul, right? He became so angry. I told him, no, just keep quiet. Let him say whatever he has to say. And then again he just checked my pulse. He said, you have so much stress. Yes, I have stress. I said, don't have stress. Okay. Practice Tonglen. I said, okay. And then my friend, he became really, really angry. He said, how dare you? But he was talking to him, that who do you think you are? You are teaching Tonglen to Geshe Damdul. My friend became so angry. I told him, just calm down. Let him speak what he has to say. If he is, whatever he's talking, from this I'm seeing how he treats his patients every day. There are so many patients coming who have no idea about Tonglen, who have no idea about compassion. Just work, and then the family conflicts, family conflicts, so much stress. So for them, so I can see how he's helping these people. I can see that. And actually, the doctor, what he did not realize is that he diagnosed the stress. That is perfect, 100% correct. What he did not realize is that stress, there are many levels of stress, many kinds of stress. One is purely physical stress. Number 2 is purely mental stress because of the overexertion of your mind. Then number 3 is overthinking, unnecessary thinking. Right? My problem. Stress builds up. There are various versions. This he did not realize. So why I said that yes, I have the stress is because that just immediately before coming to Spain, 17 days, you won't believe I did not even have time to eat food. Say early morning I was going through the book of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to review this book, to edit the book. Then after this, they say His Holiness is teaching. I had to go to translate for His Holiness teaching. After teaching, coming back, the moment I took the first morsel of the food, instantly I received a phone call saying that His Holiness is already in the office. You come for the interview. I have to rush to the interview. Immediately after the interview, again teaching of His Holiness. After the teaching, coming back to my room, there were so many of my friends who were extremely good friends who have many questions because we are meeting very rarely. So many questions, very important questions. So I deal with them. They finish, they leave, then again I have to go for the book review with His Holiness for the next day. Again read. Then stay till, and then my personal practice till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and early morning I have to get up like 5. So this continued, and over time, I did not realize that I was so mentally exhausted, burnout. I did not realize that. Then one time, in His Holiness's palace, for the security guards, for them to, as a part of the exercise, they have the basketball court, and they were playing basketball. When I saw that, I could not just believe how come that they're getting time to play basketball. I did not even get time to eat my food. So this was stress. There are so many kinds of stress. This is what I'm saying. Okay. So why digressed? Tonglen. Yes, thank you. Okay. So the Tonglen, the point is that where somebody goes through difficult times, like you're having lost near and dear ones, and then you go into deep depression, anxiety, sadness, and so forth. There, many people say that practice Tonglen. That is applicable to some people who have practiced the Dharma for an extended period of time. For them, it works. But whereas Tonglen means take the suffering of others. You already have the suffering. You're all going to suffer. You cannot bear this, and you add more. And somebody invited me to give the whole 1 week of Buddhist psychology teaching, one institute, and a person who recommended the visit there. And that person came to pick me up from the airport, and then on the way, like 1.5 hours, they were talking about this practice, and actually she was asking me questions about Tonglen. And then I suggested that Tonglen should be practiced only with the step 1, step 2, step 3 intact. Without the first 3 steps, if you do Tonglen, it can have an adverse effect rather than the benefit. And then she said, that's true. In fact, this was what she was advised to do. So when she was going through very stressful life, advised to do Tonglen practice, and she started to feel the burnout. Yes, it happens. Whereas if you go through the first, second, third steps, you will not feel the burnout. You will not feel the burnout. Okay. So the Tonglen. For Tonglen, how do you do the Tonglen practice? And is there anybody who likes to share with us what do you think is the reason why you don't feel burnout if you go through the first 3 steps well for the Tonglen, before you do the Tonglen? Anybody?
Because you will understand why you do this. If you understand the drawback of self-cherishing and the benefit of cherishing others, you know you are not going to do something that harms yourself. You know it's beneficial also.
Good.
So it's not, you would have no risk to be kind of negative toward yourself or hatred toward yourself.
Okay, so let's say even to do Tonglen, you are not hating yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You are not hating yourself.
What I'm saying is that without the first 3 steps, if you do Tonglen, then you can burn out. You can get burned out very quickly. Why?
Because you might not understand. I mean, you talk about the 3 steps of equalizing and so on.
Yeah.
It's like progressive for the mind. I think. It's like first equalizing, and after you really want to do Tonglen because you understand the benefits, so you have enthusiasm.
Oh, good.
Doing this like
Good.
burden.
Exactly. Yeah. So as Genzala said, that with the first 3 steps, the thing is that you see the demerit of cherishing oneself, you see the merit of cherishing others. In the Tonglen practice, is to cherish others all the time, and you already learned that cherishing others is extremely beneficial to me, extremely helpful to me. So it is like somebody is giving you, your salary X amount. On top of the salary X amount, the person gives you some tips. Are you happy with the tips or not? Or you're tired of getting the tips? Oh no, I've been getting tips every day. I feel so tired. You will not feel tired because you like it. When you like it, the more you get, the more happy you are. Right? You will not feel burnout getting tips every day. So, because you feel the joy. That's, as Genzala said, you feel enthusiasm. There's a joy there. So, with the first 3 steps, it makes you feel joyous over cherishing others. It makes you feel joyous over, say the demeaning or shunning the selfishness. This is what you have learned. But this is when you practice Tonglen, then everything is just to cherish, undermine self-centered attitude. It is like an opportunity for you rather than doing something for others. Right? How many would be feeling unhappy to feed breakfast, to give breakfast to somebody every day? Or which would make you more tired, to feed somebody with breakfast every day or to feed yourself with breakfast every day? Of course, to give breakfast to somebody every day, right? You'll feel more tired than feeding yourself with breakfast. This is what I've been doing every day for the last many years. And I'm already 55 years. Last 55 years, I tried my best to give breakfast to me. Right? No burnout. But if I'm to do the same thing to somebody else, I'll say, okay. Right? So this is where, when you do it to yourself, this benefit for me, the mind becomes very joyous. The mind becomes energized. When you don't feel the joy, you drain your energy. So with the first 3 steps, it gives you energy. It energizes you. With this, then the step number 4 and 5, these 2 are actually to help yourself. It's actually helping me. It's actually helping me to go towards infinite happiness, to get into my self-centered attitude, to enrich my other cherishing mind. This is so beautiful practice. This is what I would highly, highly recommend you to do this. In this life, you must do this practice. It's so beautiful. Okay, so Tonglen, the first one, the taking the suffering of others with emphasis of compassion. So for this, there are so many versions of doing this. I'm going to teach you something simple and very comprehensive. That is, the suffering of others, threefold. 3 kinds of suffering. What are they?
Suffering of suffering, suffering of change, and such as omnipresent All purpose.
Okay. Suffering, change, pervasive, conditioned suffering. Right? Some people may translate this omnipresent suffering. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of the language. The meaning remains the same. The first, to take these three sufferings, you have to know these three sufferings. So let us see how many of us know these three sufferings. The first. What is the first one? Okay, Tomer. Yes, tell me. What?
It's a kind of suffering which is seen by everyone, including animals.
Okay, how many of you agree with Tomer?
Suffering, right?
Yes. How many agree with Tomer? What Tomer said is suffering is a suffering which everybody identifies very easily, including the animals. Even the animals identify that as suffering. That is suffering. How many agree with Tomer? Good. Yes. For example, suffering from headache, stomachache, the COVID-19 fear of the COVID-19, and the fight over the properties and so forth. These are all the manifest sufferings. That is not suffering, the first. Okay, what is the second one? Suffering change. Okay. Can anybody wants to explain what it is? Suffering change? Okay.
This is when we lose things, like we have happiness and then suddenly we lose something. We can lose dear people around us or a job, or it's about the impermanence. Everything is changing, so if we have something great, then we can lose it.
You learn it from NDC?
Yeah.
From NDC? Okay, don't tell this to other people. Right? Then who is NDC teacher? I did not teach this. I did not teach this, right? Till you fix it, don't say this to others. Okay, anyone? Suffering change. This is what I like to really know. Yes, Mary.
La souffrance du changement, mais par exemple, on est heureux là maintenant, donc on se trouve très bien, mais on ne sait pas qu'en dessous, cet état d'heureux, c'est de la souffrance. Et puis tout d'un coup, un événement arrive, et puis voilà, on passe à la souffrance. Et comme c'est la souffrance du changement, ça veut dire que l'impermanence joue constamment pour nous changer d'état en état, et on est constamment en souffrance, même si c'est du bonheur.
So superficially it seems to be happiness, but there is an underlying suffering there that is linked with a constant impermanence.
Okay. But for example, you eat cheesecake, and then you eat the first piece of cheesecake, second piece of cheesecake, third cake, no. Still you eat it and then vomit. That is suffering change. Is that?
The pleasant feeling.
Huh?
The pleasant feeling is suffering change.
Okay, so when Genzela is saying something, when Genzela tell me, which is suffering change?
It's a pleasant contaminated feeling, and also the object and all the mental factor concomitant with the feeling.
Okay, just give me one example.
So yeah, like
Just okay, give us one example.
So for example,
Right.
As you said, if you eat a nice cake, there's a pleasant feeling. But this, we think it's happiness, but we know it's not actual happiness, because if it would be happiness, the more cake we eat, the more.
My question is, give me an example of suffering change. Don't explain how it is suffering change. I did not ask you to tell me how it is suffering change. Give me an example of suffering change.
Yeah, the pleasant feeling you have when you eat the cake.
Huh?
The pleasant feeling you have
Huh?
when you eat the cake.
Okay, the pleasant feeling you get when you have the cake. Okay, Dr. Patrick?
There is a problem for us now
Who?
with this, I think.
They?
Yes.
Okay, then we have to do here. Okay,
When you are cold, you go to the sun, and you feel a pleasant feeling, but it's just transitory.
okay. Dr. Patrick is saying that what is suffering change? You feel cold, you go to the sun, you have a pleasant feeling, and it changes. Change is the suffering change? Or the feeling cold is suffering change?
The pleasant feeling.
The pleasant feeling is suffering change?
Could be the sun. Is a
Okay, pleasant feeling because of being exposed to the sun, that is the suffering change. Okay. Anyone else? Tomer.
It's not exactly the pleasant feeling. It's the factor which wants to grasp, to garder, keep the pleasant feeling.
Okay, wanting to sustain the pleasant feeling.
Yeah.
Sustaining pleasant feeling or wanting to sustain the pleasant feeling? Which one?
It's the factor which want to
sustain. Wanting to sustain the pleasant feeling. That is the suffering change.
Exactly how it is.
Okay, wanting to sustain the pleasant feeling as a pleasant feeling. Good?
Yes, it's related to ignorance because you think that, for instance, if you are hot and so you go to the water and so at the beginning it's very pleasant, you enjoy it, and after a while you become cold, you get cold. And so what you thought was pleasant can become unpleasant. So that's...
Okay. Virginia, right? Okay, Virginia is trying to explain how it is suffering change. I want example. I just want example of suffering change, and then I may ask how it is suffering change. That will come later. Okay, here, Dominic.
Never satisfied.
We're being unsatisfied. That is suffering change. Okay.
I would say more pleasant contaminated feeling. Pleasant contaminated, not pleasant feeling.
Pleasant contaminated feeling. Okay. They don't feel overwhelmed. Pleasant, what is contaminated? Right? Okay. Don't worry. Okay, Kristen.
You give the example of the cheesecake. If you eat
But you already give the example, right?
No, but if you eat too much cheesecake, you have the stomach goes like this, and then the pleasure change into suffering.
Change. So which is suffering change?
This one.
The stomach going like this, or the say unhappiness?
Well, the pleasant feeling.
Pleasant which change in unhappiness. That is the suffering change, or which one?
It's a bait. We think that it's, the cake is something that will give us pleasure and happiness, and we keep doing it, and then we realize it's not the answer.
Okay.
It's like the prison. We think we
Okay.
have a beautiful house, but
So Christian's trying to prove that Geshe Damdul is not wrong. Okay, Stephen.
Hugging Richard Gere.
Oh, that's interesting. Hugging Richard Gere.
If you're attracted to
Okay, somebody who's attracted to Richard Gere and hugging him, right? A person who is attracted to Richard Gere, hugging Richard Gere. That is the suffering change. That's interesting. Why?
because that's the first example I ever heard. The first time I heard that explained.
No, that's fine.
And why? So why? Because
My question is not whether it's the first or second time. My question is how it is suffering change.
because well, as Rachel said, the more you do it, the more unpleasant it gets.
Oh, that's actually nice. No, you don't do it more. Just hug once, you feel happy, stay there. Don't do it more.
Yeah, but if you, on a more subtle level, if you investigate just the initial feeling, it also is has subtle unpleasantness to it.
How? No, that's very pleasant. Believe it or not, Richard, particularly when he was in 20s.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, but then there's something about the feeling, the potential that it won't last.
It doesn't matter whether it lasts or not, it doesn't matter, but it's very pleasant. Right?
I mean, if it's done with altruism, it's okay.
Okay, here.
Quand j'aime quelque chose, je crois que ça va durer toujours, je m'y attache Mais je suis toujours déçue parce que ça change tout le temps à un moment donné.
So when I like something, I think it will endure and remain. It's not the case, so the problem is there.
Okay, some people are very smart, right? Martin, right? Okay, so what Martin said is true to some extent, that say you buy something or you get something and imagining that it'll last long, and it doesn't last long, right? But some people are very smart. It's not always the case. For example, we say alcohol, wine. What do you call it? Pack, first pack, second pack, shot, first shot, second shot. Some people, they're very smart. They take the first shot and stop there, right? They'll not take the second shot. They don't want, they don't expect it to endure. The first short duration, I enjoyed. This is what I like. So what's the problem with this? If you expect that it will last for long, I'll take the first shot, okay, now done, I want the second shot, then problem will come. But first shot and you're happy with this, moderate drinking. What's wrong with this?
If there's not at all, maybe
Huh?
maybe if you cannot even have one shot, it will be sad.
No, what's the problem? Don't make the life boring, right? No cheesecake, no cars, no mobile, no good house, right? No sunshine, go into the world. What's wrong? Why should this is why many people describe Buddhism as self-denial religion. Self-denial. What's wrong with it? Tell me. Oh yeah, Chikasala.
I just want to try.
Yes.
I remember about the story which you have told us about the two prisoners, and the two prisoners they are going to be executed at the end of their prison stay. And one prison had a tough time in the prison, and the other prison had a leisure and a very good time. So the one who had a good time, he didn't realize that he will be executed, and the other person who had difficulties, he ran away from the prison and he was basically saved from being executed. So and it's like a bait. You have been given all the pleasures and you attached to the pleasures of the life, and at the end you have to go through difficulties.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, my question to you is, what's the problem with the first piece of cheesecake?
It's a bait.
There's no problem. And? No problem. It's middle way. What's the problem? No problem. Why do you make things so complicated? This is very good. Enjoy the first cheesecake. What's wrong with it? Don't go for the 10th one. Go for the first one. It's very nice. What's wrong with this? Huh? Okay, Daniel, it's the nature of suffering. No, it's nice. What's wrong? Don't be too boring. Huh? Here? Which one? Which one? Here? This one? Yes.
Peut-être c'est simplement que c'est en effet très plaisant, mais ce n'est jamais stable. Tout simplement.
So yes, it is very pleasant, but it's never stable.
Okay, don't worry about the stable. Don't make it very complex. Right? The first moment you enjoyed is fine. First shot. Right? Second shot, third shot, it'll become worse. That's for sure. But the first shot, some people are very smart.
La sensation n'est pas stable.
The feeling itself is not stable.
Feeling. It doesn't matter, stable, not stable, it doesn't matter. As long as you are happy, that's good.
We exaggerate the quality of the object.
It doesn't matter. If you exaggerate, you feel good. Okay, my question is, how is it suffering? Let's say the pleasant feeling. the pleasant feeling of having cheesecake. How is it suffering? To say that it is suffering change, first you have to know that it is suffering. How is it suffering? Right? If you are not convinced, then it will not work.
Because they say it's the end of one suffering, but the start of a new one. Like, for example, with the heat and cold.
Okay, let's say the first piece of cheesecake. What's the problem with it?
You have probably suffering of hunger. Or
No, I'm not.
Insatisfaction in general.
No, I'm not hungry. It just comes, then my mouth waters. I eat the first piece.
Probably some insatisfaction inside.
And dissatisfaction? No dissatisfaction. I'm fine. What's wrong with me? No. Don't make things complicated, Eric.
If there's attachment, there is suffering. If no attachment, okay.
Okay, the attachment to the cheesecake, there's a problem. If you don't have the attachment, it's not an issue. The pleasant feeling is fine. It's not suffering change. If there's no attachment, then you enjoy the cheesecake. That pleasant feeling of the cheesecake is not suffering change. Is what I'm saying? Okay, the one is coming from the air. Okay, yes. And Sophie, tell me.
It's just a bait for samsara.
It's a bait. How?
Because it's a pleasant feeling, and it's samsara too. So you think it's pleasant and you want to stay, but you don't have renunciation if you think it's pleasant.
Okay, say it again.
I think it's a pleasant.
Okay, let us all listen to what Anne Sophie is saying.
When you eat it, then it's pleasant.
My question is, how is it suffering?
Because it's the only way you want to stay in samsara.
It is the only way by which you are trapped in samsara. This is what it's saying. So what's the problem? If you're trapped in samsara, how is it suffering?
It's suffering because you have no freedom.
Okay, did you all follow what Anne Sophie is saying? What she's saying is that we're in samsara. What traps us in samsara is the pleasant feeling within samsara. So then the question is what Venerable Genzal is saying, that contaminate. He added this word contaminated. So what is contaminated? This is the next question, right? Okay. For time, let's deal with what. This is very important. Sometimes we go too much into emptiness. We go too much into bodhicitta, tantra, and so forth, and then finally we even don't know what is suffering change. This is a problem. We must get conviction in what it is. We must get conviction. We keep learning more. Then the ground becomes very sound. With the sound ground, then whatever we practice, that's amazing. So in your life, you will realize that to have met with the Dharma, the bodhicitta and wisdom, these two are so precious, not because of these two, because the ground is so firm. 3 kinds of suffering, 4 noble truths, 4 seals, and so these are so solid there. And then on top of this, then we speak about emptiness, bodhicitta, tantra. They become very powerful, extremely precious. So, what the Davagasala is saying, and what Anne Sophie is saying, is that we are in samsara. Samsara is a very painful situation, painful place. Right? How many of you think that samsara is a painful place? To be very honest. Samsara is a painful place. Raise hands. How many feel that really samsara is a painful place? Raise hands. Of course, sometimes we forget. Right? We forget. Sometimes when you go to the pubs, nightclubs, like this, we forget, that's fun. Otherwise, overall speaking, if you get little time to be in Kalachakra Center, then you sit, Then the teacher talk about, Four Noble Truths. Then you get a good picture, not just creating story. Good picture, and then you feel, oh, samsara is really terrible. Okay, how many of you once in a while feel like this resents? At least once in a while. Once in a while. Okay, this is very precious. Very precious. Overall speaking, this is very painful samsara. Overall speaking. Unless until we do something, it's very painful. We never know. We are so like we are living in the forest where they say where the tigers, lions, they roam around so freely. And then you are there. Anytime they can just attack you. Anytime. This is exactly what it is like in the samsara, to be very honest. And as you age, if you study the Dhamma well, and then as you age, you will realize it more clearly. But don't wait till you become, till you become older, right? You try to get the experience. You try to get the conviction way before that. While you're still young, you try to get this experience. That samsara is really not a good place for us to stay. It's very, very, very scary, right? Very scary. And yes, very complicated how the mind works and how the mind can create acute pains, unimaginable pains. Some of them, if we share, it can be really very scary. But this is reality, how the mind works. Okay, so the two of them, what they're saying, that this very scary samsara, what makes us stay in samsara? There's nobody who is forcing us under the gun. That you to stay in samsara. Nobody forcing us. There must be something there in samsara which you voluntarily get hold on to. What is that? The pleasant feelings. Pleasant feelings in samsara. When we get qualified that we're contaminated, this is what we have to examine later on. The pleasant feelings, in simple terms, pleasant feelings. So, two of them, Ajay Sala and Sophie, said that this is a bait to trap us in samsara. Okay, so my question is, how, if it is a bait, it should be a suffering, how? This is my next question, which and Sophie could not give the answer. Right? How, if it is a bait, it is a suffering? Yes, it is a wonderful answer, what Ajay Kesan said. I'm going to elaborate that's what Ajay Kesan said. I'm going to say this again, that it is a bait to trap us in samsara. So if it is a bait, how is it a suffering? Ben?
Maybe it is like a small child doesn't want to study, and for him, no study, it's happiness that he can do whatever he wants. But his parents see this, what he does, not as happiness, but as suffering, because they know that down the road he will suffer from this. So the small child sees it as perfect happiness, because it will do whatever, and the wiser people, the parents, see the same thing as suffering.
How is it suffering?
Because they know that what he's doing now is not preparing for the future, and he will suffer down the road. So if you know that you are doing something that will make you suffer down the road, you don't see it as happiness, you see it as
Okay, how many agree with Ben? Raise your hands. How many agree with Ben? Okay. But yes, this is well said. Thank you, Stephen.
I would say it's in the nature of dukkha, meaning unsatisfactory, because it's difficult to really see how the first cheesecake is suffering in the sense that we normally think of it, like unpleasant, obvious, painful experience. But if you look at it as unsatisfactory.
So how is it unsatisfactory? It's very satisfactory.
Yeah, not really.
No, no, you're not telling the truth.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Because you want the feeling of wanting it is unpleasant.
No, this is, and the feeling of wanting is there, and you get it. It's amazing. If you don't get it, that's a pain. I agree with you. But you get it, and what's the problem? It doesn't matter craving increase or not, but you're enjoying it. That's fine.
That's what makes you reborn in samsara all the time. So.
Okay. So how is it? The point is, we are asking Stephen, how is it the dissatisfaction or unsatisfactoriness? How is it the case?
Maybe because it doesn't. If your full scope of unsatisfactoriness is this kind of size, then the cheesecake it's a tiny part of it. So there's a small feeling of relief, but the small feeling of relief is nowhere near as big as...
What is that unsatisfactory? I don't see any unsatisfaction here, there. Yeah, the cheesecake is there. That's real. So what is here? This is just air.
Well, say, for example, it doesn't take away your unsatisfactory nature of having to work in a job you don't like.
No, it doesn't matter. No, I'm not saying that cheesecake, if I eat it, then I don't work at all. No, I'm not saying this. I'm not expecting this also. Right? I just want the temporary the happiness. I like it. I eat it. That's good. Stop there. Finish. What's the problem?
Then I agree with Eric. It depends on if you're attached or your level of attachment.
Okay. So if you're not attached to this, then the pleasant feeling of cheesecake is not a suffering change. Is what you're saying? Okay. So this is where we're going wrong. The point is that no matter what Venerable Ginzala said, contaminated the pleasant feeling. This word, contaminated, that has to be explained later on. That I have to check with him. What is meant by contaminated? Right? So that you have to check. Otherwise, yes, all the mundane, in other words, all the mundane experiences of happiness, they're all suffering change. Whether you're attached to or not attached to, all mundane experiences of happiness, they are suffering change. That's for sure. That we cannot change. So that is the suffering change. The next question, how is the suffering change? Okay. So what the Ajahn said, and which is the simplified by Anne Sophie, I'm going to share this with you very quickly. This is very important. In other words, say when we identify suffering change, don't just give the whole background. You eat a cheesecake, and then you eat it more, and then you have you start vomiting. That's suffering change. No, which one? Vomiting is suffering change, or eating too much is suffering change, or the eating the first one is suffering change. You should be very specific. Which one? In other words, first, let me share with you that what is suffering change? Any mundane experience of happiness, with its corresponding objects, which triggered the happiness, is suffering change. Just keep it as simple as that. Any mundane experience of happiness. In simple terms, any mundane experience of happiness. Any mundane experience of happiness is suffering change. And then Lama Tsongkhapa added the corresponding objects. Objects which triggered the mundane happiness is also included as suffering change. Okay, this is one. Now, how is this what we call as happiness? How is the suffering change? This question. So for this, we need to remember what Ajahn Dawakesana said. This is extremely important, and then further explained by the Anne Sophie. That let's say that you and your friend are being arrested for your, the wrongdoings, and to be executed after 1 year. So two of you are handed over to the prison guards. You are imprisoned in two different prisons, prison A and prison B. And finally, the job of the prison guards is to hand you over back to the executioner after 1 year. Are you following me? Good. Then prison guard A and prison guard B both have the authority or power to make sure that in whatever way they can keep the two prisoners with them, and finally after 1 year to be handed over to the executioners. They can do this. So first prisoner, what he does is he created swimming pool in the prison. He created KFC in prison. He created Starbucks in prison, right? And this poor prisoner, he forget about Starbucks, swimming pool in his house. He does not even have a simple house there. Now in this place, you are getting Starbucks there, the swimming pool there, and all things are there. The vegetarian KFC is there. Wow, it's amazing. So that if his mother comes, hey, now let's escape from this place. You say, no way, right? If you want to go, I'll stay. And whereas and then the prison guard sometimes comes. Hey, how are you, my friend? Oh, I'm fine. Let's have a cup of tea in this Starbucks. And he gives you, he accompanies you for a cup of tea. And you say, how are you doing? You're so happy. And the prison B, where the prison guard is extremely strict, right? Extremely strict, and every morning slapping you, making you work labor work, very hard work, and you'll realize that. And even the food is so bad in the cold, no heating system. In the heat, no the cooling system. Forget about swimming pool. And then after 6 months, let's say, if you come to know that there's one of the two prisoners has escaped, who do you think is the one? Prisoner A or prisoner B? Prisoner B. Because there's a constant reminder that I'm not in a palace, I'm in a prison. Whereas a prisoner A, he's not aware that he's in prison, right? Then after 1 year, prisoner A realizes that he's the only one. Prisoner B is not there, and he's to be executed, and he cannot escape. Then he realizes, oh, prisoner B, what happened? He escaped. He's so fortunate. I'm very unfortunate. Now he describes himself as very unfortunate. Why? He realizes that the 1 year experience of having swimming pool, KFC, and the Starbucks, all these things are the bait, right? Say, what is bait? Bait is a delicious food to catch the fish, catch the animals. Okay. If you don't realize this is a bait, it's a delicious object. If you realize it is a bait, it is no more delicious. You agree with me or not? This is something we have to realize. The same object, if you see it as not as a bait, as a delicious food, that is so nice. If you see it as a bait, it is not nice. You will run away from it. You must have seen the National Geography and so forth, that for example, let's say the rabbits, other animals, the birds, when they are in the trap, they are about to enter. They don't go. They see the food there, but they are wondering why they are hesitant to go there. Anyone? Why these animals and the birds, they hesitate to go closer towards the food? Why? Anyone?
They're scared about it can be a trap.
Yes, right. So, no doubt, it's very delicious. That food is very delicious, but hesitant to go there, not knowing whether it is a bait or it is a lucky food, lucky chance. Not knowing. If it's a bait, I should be careful. Don't go close there. You're getting it? So when you see it's a bait, then you don't feel like going close there. If you don't see it as a bait, but as a delicious food, you would be happy to go there. So, all these mundane experiences of happiness, when you don't see as bait, we feel attached to this. When you see the overall picture, that why we are in samsara, if you ask this question, then you realize that it's because of only one reason, because of the bait. And what's the mechanism? What pulls us is the bait, and the mechanism is the pervasive conditioned suffering. Mechanism, how that is happening. is a pervasive condition suffering. So because of the bait, you attach to this affliction, and the affliction makes you to create the karma, and the karma makes you to stay in samsara. So what pulls you in samsara is the bait, and the mechanism of being pulled is the pervasive condition suffering. Okay, so when you see, do you agree with me that these animals, they are hesitant, then they go closer, and suddenly the thought that it must be bait, they run away. You see that? They run away from the food. Did you notice that? Why do they run away from the food? It's delicious. Why don't they go closer to the set? Why they run away? At some point they run away from the food. Why? They think, yes, they think that this is danger, meaning this is a bait. It's not a good food. It's the bait. So when you see it's a bait, then it is danger. Danger is suffering or happiness? Suffering. So therefore, as the suffering change, the pleasant feeling, mundane pleasant feelings, they're actually threats. They're actually dangers. Dangers. So this is dangers or suffering. Okay, this is bait. Bait means danger. That is suffering. Okay, so what Ajahn Davala said, that is a beautiful example, and this will make us give a very clear picture of when you realize this person realized that his friend is already escaped. Now he's going to execute it the very next day, right? Then he will see that the earlier swimming pool experience, the Starbucks experience, prison guard coming to talk to him, and so forth. These are all the bait to trap him. Yes? Okay. So this is bait. Bait is suffering. Bait is threat. Bait is danger. Danger is suffering. It's not happiness. Okay. Next, contaminated. Okay, my question is, the Venerable Ginzala said that all the pleasant experiences, and then added all contaminated pleasant experiences, suffering change. What do you mean by contaminated?
Like it's a happy feeling that are under the power of ignorance, karma, affliction. Because I was thinking there's also a happy feeling that comes with realizing emptiness or great love and passion. So this is not suffering of change, for example. So it's more happy feelings that are related to created by ignorance.
Okay, first let us say the cheesecake. But the cheesecake, how do you describe this as a contaminated, pleasant feeling? What is contaminated?
It's created by ignorance, directly or indirectly. It's created by ignorance.
How? No, the cheesecake is made by the bakery.
Yeah, but I think probably, yeah, but it's like this whole environment has been created by karma.
Cheesecake is cheesecake made by the what do you call that?
Yeah.
No, bakery is the place, the person.
For example, in the Pure Land, you might have.
Baker?
Baker.
Hey, Laura, what's that person who bakes the food? Baker? Huh? No, the pastries. A baker. Okay, let's say baker. Right? This cake, of course, it's not made by karma, it's made by the baker. So what is contaminated?
Ignorance is probably involved, but in general, the environment we live in is created by karma and affliction. So
which environment?
This earth, the human environment.
Okay, to know that this is pervasive condition suffering, you have to know that the whole world is created by karma. You have to know that.
Sorry?
To know that this piece of cheesecake is contaminated, this is suffering change, you have to know the whole world is created by karma. You have to know that. Without knowing this, you cannot know that piece of cheesecake is suffering change.
And also, by the way we relate to it in general, maybe also.
Okay, anyone?
It's the mind apprehending the object as being inherently existing by itself. So the mind is making mistakes about the object. Your mind is because samsara is not a place, it's not a geographic place, and it's the mind apprehending reality
Good. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
The mind who sees the pleasure in something. It's a dualistic view.
Okay. Again, you have to prove that dualistic. Right. Nebuchadnezzar said contaminated, and he trapped himself. Now you are trapping yourself in dualistic. What's the problem with dualism? What's the problem?
The problem is I separate myself in this case to my pleasure. Yes, I don't see the pleasure come from me.
No, you don't. You don't think of it's coming from me. It's very boring. It's coming from the cheesecake. That's better.
Yeah, it's better, but if the pleasure comes from something, I have to run to it always. I am separate from it.
So what's the problem? Yes, it is separate. It's in reality separate. For the food, don't stay here. Go to the kitchen.
The cheesecake is
You have to. It's separate. These are separate. You have to go there.
Yeah, but the pleasure, it's not separate from me. The
How?
cheesecake is.
Yes. So the pleasure you get from the cheesecake.
I'm not agree with that because if the pleasure was coming from the cheesecake,
Okay, then Patricia's not there. So don't give cheesecake to Tomer. Right? Pleasure is coming from inside.
if the pleasure was coming from the cheesecake, it will not change
Why not?
because why it will not change? Because
This would be the cause of happiness. It would be the cause of happiness. So the more you eat, the more you would be happy.
No. It is a temporary cause. Temporarily give you happiness. The more you eat it, then your body is weak. If your body is very strong, you can eat more. Yeah. It's not the problem of cheese, it's the problem of your body. Your body is weak. Okay, Mary.
Je pense que la façon dont je vais voir le cheesecake, soit que je vais exagérer qu'il est tellement bon et donc je vais m'y attacher et là je le contamine parce que j'exagère les qualités du cheesecake.
So what makes the contamination is that I exaggerate the qualities of the cheesecake.
Okay, we don't exaggerate the quality of the cheesecake. Whatever it is, just keep it there, enjoy it, and you know that it's not the divine food. It's not divine food. Whatever is 10% good, I eat it, 10% happiness, finish, stay there. What's wrong with it? Okay, this says, there are two hands coming up there. Ben.
I think it is contaminated if it is a cause to keep you in samsara. If it creates the cause to keep you in samsara.
Okay, it serves as a cause to keep in samsara, therefore it is contaminated. Okay. Yes.
If you go and see the cheesecake very, very closely, you don't find the cheesecake at all.
So,
in fact, the problem is that when you are wanting to eat the cheesecake, you think it exists on inside.
okay, how many of you are happy with Anne Sophie's explanation? Raise hands. She's saying something. Okay, say it again.
When you are looking at the cheesecake, you can think about looking at a microscope with moment. You don't see any cheesecake.
It's just atoms.
Yes, that's atoms. But when you are wanting to eat it, you think it exists on itself. It's not just atoms. It's a very good cheesecake. That's characteristics.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, what Anne Sophie said, I will put in the form of an example. And then we try to relate this to what Anne Sophie said. And she's here with us for the next 10 days. So we can ask her. Right? I'll give the example. Let's say that I already gave the example of the three moments in the dream. The first moment neutral, Second moment, very pleasant. When the Elizabeth sending you an email saying that, okay, we'll have the privilege to have the audience with His Holiness. Then third moment, right, you coming, then the whatever accident or bad thing happens. 3 moments. Tell me, these 3 moments, they have so many things in common. Can you give me some examples? What are the common things among these 3 moments of the dream? First is neutral, second was pleasant dream, third one is very unpleasant. Yet these 3, they share something in common. Let's say the pleasant dream and unpleasant dream. These 2, there are many things which are the common between the 2. Just anybody who likes to share with us what are the common things between these 2 things? Anyone?
They are labeled as dreams.
They are dreams. It's true that both are dreams. Very good. There are many such differences or no such commonalities. Anyone? More.
They appear real. They appear to be real.
They are dreams. Number 2, they appear as real. Both of them appear as real while they are not real. 2. Anyone else? Anyone else?
The appearance of them being real encourages us to then have feelings towards them.
Okay, so seeing them as real, then it makes us to react to the object. Very good. Anyone else?
They give us a feeling. Both give us feeling.
Both give us, they say, be it pleasant feeling or unpleasant, they give us feelings. Yes, they trigger some feelings inside us. Yes?
Les 2 ne nous donnent pas la liberté de choix, donc on les subit.
Choice in both of them.
Ils ne donnent pas la liberté.
Okay, in both cases we have no freedom, right? Oh, that's interesting. We have no freedom, right? Okay. This is a very important point. Yes, number 1, that we see dream as real in both cases. Then that it makes us to react. Number 2, it triggers feelings within us. And then put them all together. How many of you like to have this? How many of you like to have the dream of having audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Raise hands. Particularly His Holiness inviting you for a cup of tea with him. Raise hands. Amazing. Okay, my next question. Who is going to have this dream tonight?
Good motivation.
Who is going to have this dream tonight? No one. Why not? It's a very pleasant dream. So remember what Mary said. Why not? We don't have the freedom to choose the dream. We don't have freedom to choose the dream. So although there is a pleasant dream, unpleasant, of course we don't want it, yet it happens. It's a very clear indication that we don't have freedom. Even the pleasant dream, we don't have the freedom to choose. This is a problem with the dream. You're getting it? Lack of freedom. And lack of freedom is misery. Let's not forget it. If somebody were to ask you, what it mean by misery? What is meant by dukkha? It's the lack of freedom. And the dream, as long as it is a dream, there's an element of lack of freedom. We don't have the freedom to choose the dream. Let's not forget it. Okay. So with this, let's say that the cheesecake. Back to the cheesecake. We look at it and we see a cheesecake there. It's just purely mental projection, what Anne Sophie said. It's purely mental projection as a cheesecake. So if you go closer, it's just atoms. Where's the cheesecake? It's purely mental projection there. Okay, you project it. Then number 2, you're unaware that you're projecting in number 2. You're unaware that you're projecting in number 2. Because you are unaware that you're projecting it, you see it as real. You see it as real. It's not a dream, it's real. Because you see it as real, it affects you. It affects you. Because it affects you, certain feelings are generated within you. Because the feelings generated, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, then you react. So this is karma. So this traps us into samsara. So with this in mind, contaminated happiness. It's for this reason. What is the best? The pleasant feeling, the pleasant dream, unpleasant dream, and wake up. What's the best? Wake up is the best. Wake up is the best. So Acharya Chandrakirti, 7th century great Indian master Acharya Chandrakirti, he said that the good people, right? Okay, let's say the ignorant people, with ignorance they accumulate negative karma and they suffer in samsara. And the virtuous people, they accumulate virtues, then experience happiness in samsara. And the noble ones will transcend the negativities and the dream virtues and will be liberated. Who are they? The people who experience the transcendental virtues. Virtues there are two: contaminated virtues and the transcendental virtues. In the dream, when you engage in generosity, in the dream, is that good or bad? In the dream, when you dream of being generous to a poor person, or to a dog or cat or whatever, is it good or bad? It's very good. It's very good. But there's a problem there. What is that problem? In it, you believe that it is true. It is not a dream. It is true. That is contamination. That is contamination. This is samsara. Who said it? Somebody said it. There's no samsara outside. It's just your mind creates. You see things as object real and you believe it as real. You believe it as object real. That is samsara. There's no samsara outside there. So this belief that good or bad, so being generous in the dream. Yes, being generous part is very good, but believing that is objectively real, that is not dream, that is contamination, that is the ignorance. So that ignorance is mixed with the virtue, that becomes a contaminated virtue. So when you wake up, you are freed from the non-virtues, you are freed from the contaminated virtues. These beings are liberated from the samsara. This is so important. Okay, so this is a very important discussion. I'm glad that we spent a lot of time on this. It's already 4:30. What should we do? Sorry? Okay. Yes. So perhaps tomorrow we will do one more session on this, the bodhicitta, and then second session will switch to 8-verse mind training. Okay, so this part is very important. In other words, if somebody were to ask you what is suffering
change,
all mundane experiences of happiness, all mundane experience, all mundane pleasant feelings, or all mundane the experiences of happiness is suffering change, as simple as that. And then keep it like this. And somebody, how is it suffering? Then you should be able to explain that it's a bait. The moment the word bait comes, people will understand the suffering. Bait has the two elements. Bait means it's delicious, right? The bait that people use for catching fish. If the bait is rotten, no fish will come. It should be very delicious food. So bait has a connotation being very pleasant, at the same time suffering. This bait, this word is very powerful. The bait. Okay, that's one thing. Then the pervasive condition suffering. Pervasive condition suffering, let me make it very quick. It cannot be quick. Because first we have to explain how is it pervasive. Then why is it known as conditioned? Then third, how is it suffering? We have to know these three elements. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay, one or two questions if you have. Yes.
Je pense que j'ai mieux compris ce que c'était la souffrance du changement, mais je ne comprends pas ce que vient faire le mot changement.
I have a better idea of what is the suffering of change, but why do we say change?
Okay, this is good. In fact, say a suffering change. For this, we need to know two things. Why the mundane happiness is referred to as suffering. This is number one. Number two, why is it known as change? Two. The first one is more complicated. The second one is very easy. In fact, most of the people, if they learn about the Buddha Dharma, Buddhism, Buddhist teachings, then if you ask what is suffering change, most of them will say when you go from when you're very hot, you go to a cold place, you feel pleasant, and then you stay there for long, you start to feel the earlier feeling of hot, the unpleasant feeling, and then you go to the pleasant feeling, which is a cold, stay there for too long, then again you start to feel the cold, unpleasant feeling. So pleasant feeling changes to unpleasant feeling. This is what most of the people will say, but this doesn't explain how it is suffering. It doesn't. First of all, it doesn't explain what exactly suffering change. Once you identify the suffering change, how is it suffering? Number two. Once you identify how is suffering, then the third one, suffering changes, the change. Why is it known as change? Change is simple. That what in the mundane sense seems as happiness, if you overexposed to this, it changes to suffering. You getting it? Suffering change. Why is it known as change? Is what is considered as a pleasant feeling in the mundane sense, pleasant feeling. If you're overexposed to this, that pleasant feeling changes to suffering, which nobody wants. This is a change. What is more difficult is how is it suffering? Suffering change, the pleasant feelings, how is it suffering? That is difficult. If you get this, then the change part is easy, and then you have to reflect when you think about the three kinds of suffering of the samsara. Then you think about how the pleasant feelings are the bait. This is what we have to think of. Then when you see it as a bait, you really feel like the unpleasant feeling. Yeah. Okay. More questions? One or two? Yes.
Yes. You said this morning that we should cherish others instead of cherishing ourselves. And many Dharma teachers says that if you don't have self-confidence, if you hate yourself, it's impossible to cherish others.
Okay, that's a good question. To cherish others, first you need to have a sense of confidence, self-confidence. Without the self-confidence, you cannot really, cherish others more than oneself. This is very good. So oftentimes what I share with people, this very important point, is that sometimes this can create some misunderstanding, and because of which people can end up in problems. Okay, first, to cherish others. So as we said earlier, number one, equalizing self and others. Number two, don't cherish others. First, look at the benefit of cherishing others. Reflect on the benefit. Don't cherish others. Simply stay there and think of what benefit do you have if you cherish others. You have to think of this more. Then what benefit you get? What benefit you get by reflecting on the demerits of the cherishing oneself? You have to reflect more. These two. So therefore, these are very systematically designed. The step number 2 and 3, to reflect on the demerits of cherishing oneself, reflect on the demerits of cherishing others. Then this will give you confidence. But this is a very beautiful practice. Finally, let's say lack of confidence. If you don't have confidence, you cannot cherish others. Very true. So what made you not to have the confidence? Okay, let me say, when you're with a small child watching television, and do you like to keep the remote control in your hand, or you want to give it to the small child's hand? Huh? Be very honest. Huh? You want to keep the remote control yourself. So when you don't have the remote control, if the remote control is in the hand of the small child, what's the problem? You don't have the confidence about the television. When the remote control is in somebody else's hand, you don't have the confidence that I want to watch this. You don't have the confidence, right? It's very boring to stay there, right? You don't have the confidence. So whereas if the remote control in your hand, you're very confident. Okay, now I can stay relaxed, right? So I want to watch the channel, watch it. You have so much confidence there. So when you see that happiness is actually in my hand, when you know that, then you become very confident. When you see that you have the Buddha nature, you become very confident. You have to see the perfection. Let's say you go in a very shabby dress, not at all, they say very shabbily dressed, as though like you are a beggar. For example, one time, Richard Gere, he did it. You know that? Richard Gere, he pretended as though like he is the homeless person. He pretended that. Deep inside, he has a confidence that he is not homeless. He knows that because he has so much of money in the bank. So likewise, we have this, more than the money, we have the Buddha nature. If you know this, you become very confident. This is very important, number one. Then number two, that even in the mundane sense, when you have the Buddha, when you have the wisdom of emptiness, you become fearless. Wisdom of emptiness, you don't wait for somebody else. You have to cultivate it within. The bodhicitta, you become extremely happy person. Why these people become so confident when they have so much money? With the money, I can have happiness. With the power, I can have happiness. So the real happiness is when you have the Buddha nature, but the bodhicitta. So you see that your real confidence, what builds you, what gives you confidence, self-confidence, is when you know that the real source of happiness is within me. The real source of fearlessness is within me. When you know this, then you become very self-confident. And what are the two things? Fearlessness, only the wisdom of emptiness. And the most happy state of mind is the bodhicitta. When you get a feel of these two, you become very, very confident. So from this self-confidence, then other cherishing becomes very easy. For example, if you look at Jesus Christ, his biography, the amount of the courage that Jesus Christ demonstrated is amazing. From there you could see that he is very confident. And the Buddha talked about the equality of the gender equality. He very courageously fought against the gender discrimination, fought against it. Why? How come that he is so confident that he said everybody's equal? He said everybody's equal. There should be no discrimination for any reason, like gender, caste, creed, whatever. There should be no reason for discrimination. How come that he's so confident with this? Believe it or not, in those days, it's not like 2022. In those days, the discrimination was so severe, so acute discrimination. Yet this prince, who himself was born in what is known as a high caste, he said, no, there's no caste. Everybody's same. There should be no discrimination on the basis of the gender, caste, creed. What made him so confident? Because he could see the Buddha nature in everyone. So when you see that you have the Buddha nature, you become very confident. When you get a glimpse of emptiness, you become very fearless. When you have there's some experience of bodhicitta, you become extremely happy. From this you see that however big the number of billions of dollars somebody has, I'm happier than that person. You could feel it. You become very confident. With this confidence, yes, then you can, cherishing others becomes very beautiful. What gives you this confidence? It's because of cherishing others, you get the confidence that your joy lies in cherishing others. And cherishing others, you don't wait for somebody else. You do it yourself. And then so the cherishing others and your happiness, these two are synonymous at a certain level. For the beginners, cherishing others is like sacrifice. When you reach a certain level of the practice, experientially you could feel that cherishing others is not sacrifice. Cherishing others is the wisest way to be selfish, to be kind to yourself. This is the wisest way. Yeah, good. Okay, we'll stop here. Deyata Om Gade Gade Paragate Parasam gate bodhi swaha tyata Om gate gate Paragate Parasam gate bodhi swaha tyata Om gate gate Paragate Parasam gate bodhi swaha. Okay, we'll go do a quick dedication. Can I have this book? Okay, thank you. Okay, let us do a quick dedication. English, page 288. English, page 288. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful charities say Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manchushri and Samantabhata too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanjo Samjo Remboje Magya Banam Ke Gyuroje Ke Banyamba Me Bayaham Kone Kondo Pe Baraisho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the decent prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma and teaching of realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect, and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of union and emptiness compassion is lucidly explained by the protector Buddha Dharma at the being's land of snows. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, my quality stated Vajratara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even across my life.